This morning, before the sun even crested the horizon, we gathered at the edge of a battered cornfield, one of many acres ravaged by an invisible war. Today marks the launch of the first large-scale wild boar eradication campaign of the year. It's not just a hunt. It's a united stand. Farmers, hunters, and local officials are banding together, shoulder to shoulder, to defend our land, our livestock, and our families. These wild hogs aren't just animals. They're a growing menace, tearing through crops worth thousands of dollars, killing young calves, and even threatening human life. We've seen what they're capable of. We've walked the fields where 300-pound beasts left trails of ruin. And if we don't act now, if their numbers keep growing, so does the danger. This is more than a campaign. It's a mission to take back our soil, 1 yard at a time. And it starts here, right now. The light was fading fast, casting long shadows across the 20-acre pasture. Every sound felt sharper, every movement more intense. We tracked the herd across nearly 300 yards of dense brush. And now, just past the tree line, they stood clustered near the edge of an old irrigation ditch. About 30 wild boars, most between 200 to 300 pounds, tearing into the soil like machines, oblivious to our presence. We dropped a prone and took our positions. Each of us knew our role. No talking, just hand signals and trust. Range, 160 yards, I whispered into my comm. Wind, 5 miles per hour west. I adjusted my scope. The reticle hovered over the largest hog, a bruiser with scars running down his shoulder. We counted down. 3, 2, we fired. The crack of gunfire shattered the silence. In less than 3 seconds, 5 boars were down. But we weren't done. The rest of the herd scattered, some charging through scrub, others bolting for the ditch. We tracked fast, shifted angles, covered each other's sectors. This wasn't panic. It was precision under pressure. Left flank, moving fast. Jake repositioned on a knee, exhaled, and dropped another hog mid-sprint. I saw one veering toward our right, closer than I liked. I pivoted, heart hammering, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, and the beast collapsed, skidding 10 yards before going still. This is what most folks don't see. The tactics, the teamwork, the sheer adrenaline of defending what's yours. This is about more than rifles and scopes. It's about discipline, knowing your terrain, and relying on the guy beside you. It's about protecting your field, your livestock, your livelihood. Out here, every mistake carries weight. One misfire can put a teammate in danger. That's why we train, why we work as one. And as the smoke cleared and the final echoes faded across the Texas plain, we stood still, breathing heavy, checking gear, scanning the tree line one last time. 12 confirmed, no injuries. But this wasn't a victory lap. It was a reminder. The herd would regroup. Another night, another charge. That's the nature of it. And we'll be ready, because this land matters, and we'll defend every inch of it. We had just repositioned, about 300 yards southwest of our original ambush point, deeper into the tree line where the land dipped toward an old dry creek. The terrain was tighter here. Visibility was limited to 50 yards, max. But the signs were fresh. Hoof prints, torn bark, deep wallows. We knew they were close. As we settled in, the wind shifted. That was the first warning. Then, without sound, it burst from the brush. A massive hog, at least 345 pounds, charged straight through the cedar scrub. Its eyes were wild, foam on its snout, and it wasn't running away. It was charging us. Head on. Contact right, I shouted. Time slowed. Jake dropped to a knee. Mark spun and fired a warning shot. The boar didn't flinch. It was less than 30 yards off now and closing fast. We didn't hesitate. We opened fire. Controlled. Synchronized. Relentless. The first round hit its shoulder. It staggered but didn't fall. The second struck low, slowing it just enough. Mark's third shot was center mass. That one did it. The beast collapsed in a heap, kicking up dust and thorns. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The forest fell silent again, like it had never happened. Then the adrenaline caught up, and we all exhaled at once. That encounter could have gone another way, and that's the reality. These aren't just oversized pests. They're unpredictable, aggressive, and when cornered, downright dangerous. You don't get second chances when 300 pounds of muscle and tusks are bearing down on you. What saved us was our training, our formation, our ability to remain calm under pressure and trust in each other's aim. Encounters like this underline the need for tight strategy and constant vigilance. This isn't just about protecting land. It's about protecting lives, ours, our families, our neighbors. It's why we never let our guard down. Not for a second. And as we stood there, rifle still warm, looking down at the silent giant lying in the dust, I knew one thing for sure. This battle may have ended, but the war for our land rages on. The mountain air was colder than we expected, crisp and sharp in the lungs as we crept through a thick patch of pine near the ridgeline. We'd hiked over 2 miles across steep terrain, following tracks that cut through loose rock and deep moss. This wasn't farmland anymore. This was raw wilderness. 800 acres of untouched backcountry crawling with feral hogs. And this time, they knew we were coming. We'd seen the signs. Uprooted saplings, mud-packed wallows, droppings scattered like warnings. The herd was big, dozens, maybe more, and smarter than we dealt with on the flats. These hogs had survived gunfire before. They were faster now, more reactive. That meant our ambush had to be flawless. We chose a narrow saddle between 2 hills, with only 50 yards of open ground. Then we waited, motionless, watching, listening. The first boar emerged just after dusk, 250 pounds, ears twitching, body tense. Then more followed. 12, 15, the full herd. They moved slow, cautious. Our breathing slowly. Fingers hovered over triggers. The radio stayed silent. Then we fired. The first volley took out 3. Panic erupted. The rest scattered like shrapnel, zigzagging, sprinting, ducking between boulders and underbrush. But they didn't run blind. They listened, reacted to every echo of a shot. Some doubled back, Others froze behind stumps or slipped into shadows.
Çok güzel. Tamam.
We've got movement behind, Mark called out. I turned just in time to see a sow circling wide through the brush, trying to flank us. These hogs weren't just running, they were learning. That's what made this hunt different. Smarter
Çok
game,
güzel.
tighter margins, higher stakes. We pivoted, adjusted. I took a knee, lined up a shot at 65 yards, and dropped her before she could reach the line. Clean, I whispered. We held the line for 10 more minutes, scanning through scopes, hearts pounding. In total, we confirmed 8 down, but the rest had vanished into the trees like ghosts. The terrain gave them cover, and tonight that cover saved them. This wasn't just a hunt. It was a chess match in the dark. And as we packed up, boots heavy with mud, we knew this. The game has changed. These wild hogs adapt. And if we're going to protect our land, our cattle, our legacy, we have to stay one step ahead. The mountain hunt had ended, but the fight was far from over.
Oh. Güzel.
Güzel.
Şu sağda büyük. Evet.
Yavaş bekle bekle bekle.
Adamsın ya. Sağır var hoca.
We changed the game that night. Instead of sticking together, we split into 3 smaller units, each taking up a different approach route through the 100-acre patch of brush and creek beds just outside the old cattle fence. It was risky, but we'd studied the land, mapped every ridge and trail, and we knew one thing. If we were going to trap this herd, we had to cut off every possible exit. I took the west flank with Jake. Mark led the center through the low creek. Tom's unit moved wide east, positioned to intercept anything that tried to break out across the ridge line. We moved in silence, stepped slow and deliberate. The ambush would only work once. At 80 yards, I saw them, a herd of at least 20, rooting at the base of a ravine. We signaled the others, adjusted scopes, and dropped into position. The tension was electric. Every second felt like a countdown. Then came the signal. One shot. Then all hell broke loose. From 3 directions, fire lit up the night. Hogs squealed and scrambled, but there was nowhere to run. Every path had a barrel pointed down it. We moved like clockwork. Tight formation. No wasted movement. The hogs tried to double back, but Jake cut them off with 2 clean shots at 45 yards. One tried for the ridge. Tom dropped it before it got 10 yards up. They were smart, fast, but we had them boxed in. This was the power of coordination. Breaking up the team gave us full control over the terrain. We weren't chasing hogs through the woods. We were guiding them, forcing their hand. Every move they made was already accounted for. And when the dust settled, 14 were down, clean, efficient, no injuries. But we didn't celebrate. We reloaded in silence, checked gear, scanned the shadows again. Because out here, even a perfect plan can go sideways fast. One missed angle, one delayed shot, and it's your blood in the dirt, not theirs. What we learned that night wasn't just about firepower. It was about strategy, discipline, and trust in the team. The hunt wasn't over, but we'd taken one more step toward taking our land back. The terrain opened wide, flat plains stretching for over 200 acres, lined with patches of sagebrush and dry creek beds. Perfect country for hogs to run. Too open for foot pursuit, too fast for old methods. So we adapted. We rolled out in 2 modified hunting rigs, one with a high rack platform, the other fitted with thermal gear. Overhead, the drone hovered at 120 feet, scanning the landscape like a hawk with eyes that never blinked. We weren't just hunters anymore. We were a mobile unit, guided by tech and driven by instinct. The drone operator radioed in. Visual on herd, north quadrant, 800 yards. Moving east, at least 20. Mixed size. Largest looks over 275 pounds. We punched the throttle. The trucks bounced hard across the pasture. Dust flying. Rifles locked and ready. Through the monitor, we watched as the herd began to shift, sensing the rumble of our approach. That's when the strategy kicked in. The drone swooped low, herding the hogs toward a narrow stretch between 2 fenced pastures, the perfect choke point. I gripped the rail, heart pounding. Ready on the left. As we rounded the last bend, the hogs broke into full sprint. We opened fire. The high rack team led the charge, firing from elevation with precision. Below, we followed, cutting off runners trying to veer out into open range. The boars darted, juked, and bolted in every direction, but the drone tracked them all. Every move they made was fed back to us in real time. They couldn't hide. Not tonight. One big man, almost 300 pounds, broke west, trying to escape through a dry gully. Jake spotted him first. He's mine. One shot. Clean. He won't root another row. This was next level hunting. A blend of grit, experience, and tactical coordination. The vehicles gave us speed. The drone gave us vision. But it was the team that sealed the deal. Within 15 minutes, it was over. 9 hogs down. No injuries. No loose ends. The fields were quiet again. But this hunt proved something more. Adaptation matters. When the wild changes, we change with it. And as long as they run, we'll chase. With wheels. With wings. With purpose. We thought the worst was behind us, but wild hogs don't go down easy. especially not the survivors. The last few boars, smaller in number but bigger in fight, had scattered across the south tree line, pushing into thick briars and creek washouts that made it nearly impossible to track by foot. These weren't rookies. These were the old ones. Over 275 pounds of raw muscle, battle-scarred and cunning. They knew the land, and they knew how to vanish. But so did our hounds. With tension crackling in the air and daylight fading fast, we gave the signal. The dogs were released. 3 seasoned trackers with noses sharp as razors and hearts built for the chase. Within minutes, the forest lit up with sound. Barks, snarls, the rhythmic pounding of paws tearing through the underbrush. Then, a deep, guttural roar. A boar, cornered. We ran hard, cutting through a gully, following the GPS tracker clipped to the lead dog. At 60 yards, we saw it, the biggest one yet, spinning in a tight circle, tusks flashing, kicking dirt as the dogs danced around him, keeping him pinned. His breath came in rasps. His eyes burned with fury. We couldn't wait. It was now or never. Jake flanked right. I moved left. We counted down. 1 breath. 2. Then we fired. The boar let out one final roar before collapsing with a thud that shook the brush. The hounds circled once, then backed off. They knew it was over. And just like that, it was done. That's the thing about wild hogs. They fight to the last inch. You can clear a field, sweep a ridge, run the hunt clean, and still, that final clash tests everything. Your teamwork, your speed, your nerve. Tonight, we won, but not without scars, not without sweat. As we gathered the dogs, checked rifles, and headed back to the trucks, the land behind us felt still again. No more rustling, no more threats. This wasn't just a victory. It was a reminder this land is wild, and it takes wild hearts to defend it. By the time we rolled back into camp, the last of the sun had dipped below the hills. Our boots were caked in mud, rifles empty, dogs resting at our feet. Day 1 of the campaign was over, and what a day it was. We took down a substantial number of wild hogs, over a dozen confirmed, each weighing between 200 to 300 pounds, scattered across nearly 250 acres of farmland and open plain. It was a hard-fought success, but we're not celebrating just yet. Because some of them got away. And that's the truth about this fight. It's not over in one day. The herds are mobile, fast, and learning with every encounter. But so are we. What we saw today was proof of what's possible when man, machine, and animal work as one. Our coordinated team effort, boots on the ground, dogs in the field, drones in the air, worked with precision. It wasn't just hunting. It was strategy. It was survival. More than just stopping crop destruction, this campaign is a shield against disease, against chaos, against the slow erosion of what our grandparents built. Every hog taken out is one less threat to our cornfields, our cattle, and our families. And tonight, for the first time in weeks, some of these farmers can sleep a little easier. But tomorrow, we go again, while the rest of the world turns a blind eye to the silent war happening out here. We'll keep fighting, because these fields feed America, and we won't let them fall. So we rest, we rearm, we prepare. The next phase of the hunt begins at sunrise. If this story moved you, if you believe in the work being done to protect this land, save this video, share it, and leave a comment below. Let's make sure every voice that stands up for rural America gets heard. Because out here, every shot counts, every step matters, and the hunt has only just begun.